Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of For the Brethren. Um, Today, as you can see, I want to talk about entertainment, but the correlation it has and the connection it has to Christianity, and how we, as Christians, really should, I guess, pay attention to the entertainment we're consuming. Um, I'm super guilty of, spending hours on entertainment or, you know, letting it consume my life in some cases. And that's something I have to keep in mind. We can sit down and we can binge a show and, not even recognize that, holy cow, 4 hours have gone by. I've watched however many episodes, um, and like it was nothing, like it just flew by. Same thing. I'm playing Destiny 2 right now. For first time in months, I've actually been like putting in some hours, and part of it is I'm enjoying the game again. I've been playing with friends, a couple friends from church, and I have been playing, and it's been cool. But here's the thing: I have to recognize that at some points, it begins to kind of take over my life, and I don't want that. Um, and one of the issues with that, right, is as we become so fixated on things around us, we lose sight of what we are really here for. Like, it's one thing to not disregard our our job here on earth as men and women unintentionally, out of ignorance or just not slowing down to recognize, like, hey, we're here for a reason. We need to, try to live that. And that's one thing. It's another to do it intentionally, like, instead of going and talking to people, instead of praying, instead of, you know, reading your Bible or whatever, you blind yourself with entertainment. And that's something I'm kind of guilty of, um, and have been guilty of in the past, is I don't let myself slow down enough to give time to God. Instead, I let my life just get run over with all the little things, whether it's scrolling on Discord or Telegram. I don't really use social media much. It's so like the mindless scrolling on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. I don't do that. I can't stand it. So normally it's like looking at Telegram channels, and a lot of them I like follow Christian Telegram channels, but I find myself just mindlessly scrolling, or on Discord, looking at what people are saying about certain stuff or what have you. But um, at the end of the day, I let myself do that, and I pull myself away from what I'm here for. Because at the end of the day, we are all put on this earth for a reason. We're put in this time for a reason. We are given life and a certain number of breaths while we're on this earth. God knows all that. He's planned it all out, and we're called to walk in alignment to that, you know? But here's the other thing: we have Christian freedom, right? And this is a hot topic, and I do apologize to anyone that may offend, but you have Christian freedom. For St. Paul says, all things are lawful, not all things are beneficial, right? And he's referring to that binding of Christians that was happening specifically because of the Judaizers, trying to bind Christians under Jewish law or Jewish practice, Jewish tradition. That doesn't apply to us. We don't have to uphold ceremonial law. We don't have a temple. We don't have um, the priesthood. We don't have to uphold the Sabbath the way they uphold the Sabbath, right? One, because they uphold it wrong, but secondly, right, what does Christ say about the Sabbath? man was not made for the Sabbath, but the Sabbath for man, right? It's that time of rest, and we all need that, right? And when you fill that time of rest with things you enjoy, that's not a bad thing, you know? Like, here I am. I'm looking at a video game, and it may be stupid, but this is a pretty beautiful video game, right? There's something about this skybox right here, you know, the artwork in it. Even this tower right here, there's a certain level of artwork in that I found, like, the first time walking through here, I found amazing. And you find this on all different planets in this video game. And one of the things that I love about Destiny, right, and I can't express it enough, is there's so much creative joy in it. Everywhere I look, I see a touch of another person's handiwork, right? There's a creative joy in that. When I look at this skybox right here, I just see a masterpiece that someone has spent years on, right? But then I go out to nature, which I don't do enough. Well, I work out in nature a lot, so it's a little different for me. I spend all day, every day, especially for the last couple months, up in the mountains, and that part's amazing, right? I get to see some of the most beautiful sights, amazing views of forests, you know, um, of trees, of mountains, of rivers, of lakes, like all this crazy stuff. Um, I get to see some pretty incredible things for my job. And I get to see God's handiwork in all of it. And I love that. But I also love this, right? I can find joy in things, right? And as a Christian, you can find joy in entertainment. You can find joy in things that are not inherently Christian, right? Which I know, controversial. But what does St. Paul say? Not all things are beneficial, right? When you let a game like this consume your life, it's not beneficial. And I agree. When I put in, a couple hundred hours in a span of like a month, it wasn't beneficial. But in small, moderate, and controllable doses, it's not a bad thing. Just like eating, it's okay to enjoy good food. It's a problem when you become a glutton and you overeat, and now you're just sick or you're getting lazy, sedentary, dealing with the problems of obesity or, things like that. But it's not a problem to enjoy good food. I like tasty food, believe it or not. I don't want just plain stuff all the time. Just same thing. You can enjoy a good movie. You can enjoy a TV show. It's a problem when that's what your life centers around, and like the only thing you do when you're trying to rest or you're trying to slow down. It becomes a problem when that is the focus of your life rather than living for God and using that as a reprieve from your life, It isn't an issue to go play a video game. It is when that's all you do, right? It's an issue when you don't care about God. You just want to come home and play a video game. Same thing with if you want to come home and read even. It's not a bad thing, but if that's all you do and you never do anything else and you never spend time with God, that's when it becomes the problem. One of the things I've really had to work on in the last couple months is stopping and praying, like out loud. I'll pray a lot in my head, but I won't pray out loud very often. Well, I've been praying with my wife, trying to remember to pray every single night for stuff that we need, and for stuff that's going on. And that's kind of my long prayer is, it'll be, I don't know, 5 minutes probably. I normally, I shoot for 5 minutes, or maybe a little less, but, to stop and pray for everything that's going on, and then just pray for, a good night's sleep, to keep temptation and the devil away, to keep, our hearts focused on God, that sort of thing. But I wouldn't do that if, I was distracted. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was letting, if we just went to bed and flipped on a TV show, like, and I never took time to pray, right? Like, I make sure each night that I stop and pray, or almost every night. Sometimes I'm wiped out and I just fall asleep, but um, I try my best, every night. But I wouldn't be able to do that if I was distracted. I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't take that time and be intentional about it, right? And to stop and focus on, you know, spending that time with God, spending that time that I really need to spend, right? So I won't get too far into Christian freedom. Like I said, like, all things are lawful so long as they're not breaking the commandments, right? You don't become an extremist, legalistic Judaizer is the main thing. It's okay for people to enjoy stuff. It's okay for people to like to do fun things or things that they see as fun, right? I'd say Paul brings this up later. Like, if one celebrates a holiday and another doesn't, don't call the one who celebrates sinful. And don't call the one who doesn't celebrate sinful, right? To each their own. If you see that in good conscience as a right way of spending your time, spending your energy, spending your money, spending your focus, whatever it is, if you see it as the right thing to do, and it isn't breaking the commandments, it isn't breaking your time spent with God, by all means, don't call the other one sinful. Don't condemn or, rebuke or attack, anything like that. The one who eats, let him eat. Let him feast for the Lord and rejoice in eating for the Lord. Don't attack the one who fasts. If you don't play video games, don't attack the one who does, right? He might play video games the way I play video games to enjoy himself, right? And to enjoy the handiwork that other people have poured into a video game. Let him rejoice in the fact that they have made something cool. Use it for God. Rejoice that God has blessed us with cool things. The one who doesn't, don't attack him just because he doesn't want to play video games. Let him do his own thing and let him do it for the Lord. I'm not saying video games, every video game is for God. I would not recommend playing Grand Theft Auto, right? That's a no-brainer. There's some video games, as a Christian, morally apprehensive. There's things in Destiny I don't like. Therefore, I don't interact with them, They have, gay pride stuff or LGBTQ stuff. I don't interact with it. I don't play that stuff. I don't have anything to do with it. You know why? Because I don't want to support that. But I'll support the other things that are cool. The things that don't go against what God says for me, what God has for me, Don't go against his commandments. But in all of that, you have the ability to enjoy things. And I think as a Christian, we should enjoy stuff. We should enjoy the fact that God has blessed us with really cool things. And in this, we should use this to say, hey, God has let us do this. This is beautiful. Go look at what his creation is, right? This is great. But how much greater is God? And how much greater is his creation and what he has planned for us? Like, this view right here is awesome, but have you seen a good sunset recently? My wife is obsessed with sunsets. Basically, every single night, she's like, that is a beautiful sunset, and makes me go look out the window and check it out. 9 times out of 10, it's a great looking sunset. Other times, it looks like the sky. But that's not a problem, because she is rejoicing in what God has made, just as I rejoice in what God has made, I find that that's one of the most important things that we need to keep in mind. Like, as you're playing a video game, as you're watching TV, as you're reading a book, do it for the Lord. And rejoice that he has blessed other people with the creativity, with the authorship, with the, directing, the acting, the writing, whatever it is. I have a screaming cat. I'm not going to rejoice in the screaming cat at the moment. Well, she's great. She is being a little terror. The Germans have a word for a troublemaker or a troublemaking child, and it's a terror kobold, which essentially translates to a terror goblin. And that's kind of what she is. She is just a mischievous little terror goblin. Terror kobold, if you will. Um, anyways, rejoice in the creative ability that God has blessed you with, right? Rejoice in the fact that you have an imagination, if you do. If you don't, I'm very, very sorry. That's a really sad life. Also rejoice in those who have an inner monologue. That's pretty cool. I like it. I like being able to talk to myself and think things out on my own without just like, I don't know. I don't know how people do it who don't have an inner monologue. I don't know how they do it. But regardless, like, rejoice in all the cool things God has blessed us with in this earth, and the creative ability that we have from God, because we're that image of God. You know, we're in the likeness of God, made in the likeness of God. We have that creative ability because of Him. We should rejoice in it, right? Find stuff cool, enjoy stuff, like, but recognize that God has blessed you with it, and God is in that, and God has given us the ability as people to not only enjoy things, but to create just like Him, because He is our Father. He blesses us with that ability. We should recognize that, and we should want to create, not destroy. We should want to imagine things. We should want to, I don't know, revel, rejoice in cool things. Rejoice in the things that God has blessed you with. When you, like I said, when you go out and see a cool sunset, rejoice in that. When you go out and you watch a really good movie, think that's awesome and say, you know, God bless the people who made that, right? I watched one not too long ago, and well, it's really tragic, and it's a really difficult movie in a lot of ways. I watched Priceless, the For King and Country movie about human trafficking, and my goodness, it was really well done. I think my wife agrees. It was really well done for what it was. It's a hard movie to sit through. You know, they get close to stuff, and it's never. I never felt like they went too far, but they got close enough to like showing what that is really like. And while I won't rejoice in the premise of the movie, I will rejoice and praise God that the message of it was so well done, you know, that through that medium of entertainment of a movie, right, not only the message of God can be shared, but the message against human trafficking and the recognition of human trafficking in the world is there. And you know, we need more stuff like that, you know? Support good things, support cool stuff, support creative things that are in alignment, or, you know, you can see God in. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Christian media or Christian content, but use it for Christ. Like this. This isn't Christian. Destiny is not a Christian game. It's not operated by Christians. It wasn't created by Christians. I'm going to use it for Christ, though, by promoting Christ while recording this, while looking at this, while playing it, you know? Use it for God's advantage. And some people will say, well, how can you say you're a Christian when you're playing a video game about shooting aliens and magic powers and... Brother, first off, it's not real life. Secondly, I can separate fact from fiction. I don't want to go out and shoot people. And if I had any inkling to do that, I would come do it in the game. I don't need to express my anger or aggression or fighting tendencies in real life. I can do it in a game by like turning around, walking over here, and hey, look, there's things to shoot. But I don't need to do that, right? That's not the focus. Secondly, yeah, magic powers. You have abilities or whatever. Separate fact from fiction. You do not have powers to like throw fireballs or, you know, I don't know, throw grenades out of your hand like that. Like, I don't have that ability. I don't need it though, right? You know what you have the ability to do? You have the ability to pray for other people and heal them. You have the ability to cast out demons. You have the ability to speak with God, to walk with Him, to know Him, and to be empowered by Him to live in love and gentleness and kindness and compassion and, patience, perseverance, all these amazing things. You are blessed with the greatest power of all, which is the power of Christ, the power over life and death, the power of faith. You're blessed with that. I don't need superpowers. That's not what I play the game for, right? Is like, look at me. I have no, it's a part of the game, sure, but like, I can separate fact from fiction. You don't need that. But likewise, I digress. Where do I go from there? I just kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry. I'm watching a cat attack my wife. That's very sad. And I think I might need to take Kitten for a little bit. Anyways, as Christians, enjoy things. Have fun with stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Just have fun with it. As long as it's for Christ and it's not going against Him, right? Like, do all things unto the Lord, right? Play video games. If you get angry, stop playing. If you watch movies and you start, I don't know, relishing violence or like watching Jason Bourne, like those are cool movies, but when you start like, man, I wish, I could just go around punching people and crashing cars and all this crazy, like that's when you need to stop. But like it's okay to enjoy the movie, just don't let it go too far. And I know I've repeated that a few times, but anyways, I just want to say again, you have Christian freedom. It's okay to enjoy things. It's okay to have fun with stuff, and promote that. Promote Christ in that. Play a video game. Promote Christ in it. It's okay to do that. Hi, Kitten. Yes. Thank you for attacking me. I really appreciate that. Anyways, I thank you all for coming and watching and listening. I hope this message has found you well, and I hope we can all begin to promote Christ wherever we're at and in everything. Like, whether it's playing a video game and just telling people like, hey man, God bless you, have a great day, for, doing random stuff. Doesn't matter. Or it's, making videos like this and using it for Christian content, or using it for Christian living, or, just promoting Christ, using it for the promotion of the gospel. Whatever it is, I hope we can all do that. And I hope God blesses each and every one of you who hears this message. I hope as we go throughout like this next week, you turn to God, you find Him in all things, and may He bless you, and may He grant you grace and mercy in that. So again, thank you for coming and watching. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and goodbye, y'all.